Welcome everyone, Farmer Cop here. This is going to be a guide to a calculator I kind of created to be able to calculate the production value or the profitability of any production recipe that you can think of. Now, as you know, there are tons of productions in Farming Simulator now, especially in the base game, and even more than that if you include all of the different modded ones. All the ones you just saw down below are most of the base game ones, not including the small ones and stuff like that. So there are just a ton, and then it kind of gets overwhelming, especially if you hop in the menu. You see here we have so many different productions that are available. There's more on the map here, but there's so many different recipes, and so if you're looking to do any of these and you're trying to find out if one's worth it or not, there's kind of a couple ways to figure out the profitability. Now, I've actually gone through, that's actually a modded one right there, but I've actually gone through and calculated the profitability of almost everything in here, and I've actually done quite a few of the modded ones. But recently I did a video on the specialized food production, and there was just so many different recipes in there that it was too much work for me to kind of go through and calculate it all, especially since many people probably wouldn't actually end up needing it. So how can we calculate the profitability? Let's find one that has like a few different items in it. This is actually a really good example here. We'll use cereal chocolate as kind of our example here, and we'll refer back to this one. So we want to calculate the profitability of this. So we're going to write a few things down, or I'm going to take note of a couple of things that we're going to need to use my calculator. And I have my production guide linked, or my production spreadsheet linked down below in the description, and that has a lot of important information, and I'll show you all that here in a second. So things we're going to note, we need to know cycles per month. So I'm going to write 216 down. Cost per month is $120. I'm going to write that down. And the recipe here is 10 honey, 10 chocolate, 36 oats, and these are all in liters, 36 corn. The liters doesn't matter as much, to be fair. And then the output for that is 20 liters of cereal. Those are kind of the main things that I need to know here. Yeah, so that's the way we can kind of calculate the profitability of this bad boy right here. So let's go over and take a look at my sheet here. I'm just going to pull up my productions guide here for us, or my productions sheet. So first off, let's talk about how to use the sheet, then we'll talk about using my calculator. There are several tabs down here at the bottom. We have the production sheet, the used values, production other, production calculator, which is what we're going to get into, construction productions, and the auto sell test. So on a production sheet, the main one here, we have different calculations for various different products to see if they're actually profitable. So you have all the base game productions up here at the top and all the base game recipes. And then if we go down here, there's this kind of gray bar across. And then down here, I started, actually above here, I did not include on any of the base game ones, I didn't include the monthly cost for the production. I added this column later because I wanted to start including it down here when doing the production guide down here. I should have originally included it, but I just didn't. It is included in my calculator, however. So for example, how this works, a really simple one here is actually the firewood processor. And also a really good example in terms of why you want to maybe use this. So I have over here the production building. You can see firewood processor. The product it's making is firewood. The input is wood. It does 384 cycles a month. The input amount is 67 liters of wood. The input cost is $120. The output amount is 100 liters of firewood. The output value is $74, and that's per cycle. The profit per cycle is we're losing $50 a cycle. The profit per month, if we were to run this at full speed, is minus $18,000, almost minus $19,000. The input per month, to keep this thing fully running, you need 25,000 liters of wood, and you're going to produce 38,000 liters of firewood. And the monthly cost to run this is $1,200 a month. So that was one of the big reasons I wanted to put this in here too, is because some of these are quite expensive. Or the fish farming is $1,440 a month to run this. So that one's quite expensive as well, and you're losing money on that one too. But other ones like the crawfish production here, you can see we calculated it out, and we're actually making money by doing crawfish. So this is a really helpful guide for a lot of you guys. Now, you may ask, how is the input cost calculated and how is the output value calculated? Well, it's trying to draw these information here from this used values sheet. So on this used value sheet, I have a lot of information on here. And what I would recommend you doing is using that link down below. That'll open a view-only copy of this. You want to make a copy of this after you download the view-only version of it, or you look at the view-only. You should be able to make a copy of it for yourself. And once you've made a copy of this, you can now start editing and doing your thing, and it's no problem whatsoever. So you should be able to make a copy of it. My understanding is that's easy to do. I guess I've never done it, but no one's complained and said I haven't, and I've been telling people to do that for a long time. But all of these prices in here that are listed are the values of these items per 1,000 liters in normal economy mode. So whatever value you put in here, it draws it back over to here. So if you were playing in easy economy mode, you can come in here and start changing prices around. Or if you pay for water, for example, you could add a water price in there. And if I scroll down for the ones on here that are modded, For all the modded production values, I have those highlighted in orange. You can see some base game ones are down here. I just didn't need them up above. So yeah, that's just kind of how that works. Then I have production other. So this is going to tell you if the production facility is divided or not. If it says not applicable, that means there's only one recipe and it doesn't matter. Divided productions means that, well, let's actually go back to the game to explain this a little bit better. I know I've explained this before. We'll talk about it here. So that's, we'll keep on our cereal factory example. So this cereal factory is saying it's going to do 216 cycles of this recipe per month. 216 cycles. This recipe here, if I put these ingredients in, it's saying do 144 cycles of this. Now, if it's undivided, and I have all 4 of these activated, and it's undivided, that says no if we're divided on there. That means that all of them are going to run, no big deal. 144 cycles of this, 216 of this, 144 of this, and 216 of this. Now, if it is divided, that means that the first one here, if I activate it, it's going to run 216 times this. But if I activate 2 of them, which I can just go ahead and do that, activate 2 of them now, they're not going to run because there's no materials in here. Now, what's going to happen is this one is going to do half of its cycles per month, and this one's also going to do half of its cycles per month. So, for example, instead of doing 216 times this, it's only going to do 108 times this every month. And then if I add a third one, if it is divided, all of those cycles per month are going to be divided by 3, and if I add a fourth one, divided by 4. So it kind of divides it out, which kind of makes sense. If you have a factory that only has so much space, it probably can't just do everything. But that's what this divided means right there. Now, if we get over here, construction productions, I have the playground maker, the wagon maker, the piano maker, and the boat builder. I have kind of the steps and listed in here for easy and all this sort of stuff. If you want to know how kind of this works in here, just watch one of those guide videos. It doesn't matter which one, and after you've watched one, it'll kind of unfold and let you know how this all works. The auto sell test, this is to kind of see what you're losing in terms of your value if you set your productions to auto sell. It seems like it's pretty much 10% across the board. On easy, list price, auto sell, the difference, and I just kind of listed some, I did some different testing in here, and it seemed like you always lost about 10% of their profit, so just be aware of that. Let's talk about the production calculator. This is basically this right here. It's basically a version of that. This allows you to do recipes up to 8 with up to 8 inputs. Now, if you have an input that's not required, you don't have to put it in there, but we're going to run the example here with the cereal factory. So if I put for building name, just to keep me, you don't have to actually change that, doesn't matter, but you want to do, put cereal factory there. Product is cereal. We're looking at one of the recipes. One of the input items is honey. The second input is chocolate here. Oops, let's go back up here. Chocolate. There we go. And the third input is oats. The fourth input is corn. So we put our inputs in. There's nothing in these, so you could just leave these blank, or you could delete them if you wanted to out of there like that. Cycles per month. Well, 216 is the answer for that. So I'll put 216 cycles per month. Over here, the input amount, you're going to want to leave all these as 0. Leave these as 0 because that means that there's nothing in those spots over here for input. So leave those as 0. But then for the honey, well, it takes 10 honey, 10 chocolate, 36 oats, and 36 corn. So you put those in there. Now the input cost, don't touch this. We're going to worry about that in a second because this is calculated off of a different value. Output amount, this is how much cereal you get. Well, for that recipe, we get 20 as the output. So change that. Do not touch the output value. Do not touch profit per cycle. Do not touch profit per month. Input per month, this is already calculated, you can see. So what this is basically saying, to keep this production running at full speed for those cycles per month, you need 2,160 liters of honey, same with chocolate, and then 7,776 liters of both oats and corn to keep it fully running. And it's saying for the output per month, it's saying it's going to produce 4,320 liters per month of your cereal. Now, the only thing this doesn't really work with is if you have multiple outputs. I did think about doing a different calculator for that if you have like 2 outputs, but unfortunately I have to keep recreating this calculator for every time there's another input. So I'd have to have 1 for 1, 1 for 2, 1 for 3, and so on and so forth. So you can kind of, I'll talk to you about how you can kind of include a second product or more products if you want to using kind of this calculator as well. And then monthly costs, you're going to want to update. I know this production costs $120 a month because that's what I wrote down to run, which is perfect. So again, you don't have to, you just have to make sure you don't touch anything with the bottom 4 rows here if there's no inputs for them, or if you're only doing 1 row of inputs, you just don't touch the bottom 7 rows. It's pretty easy. Now the product sell price, I'm actually going to go over here for help. I'm going to search cereal. The product cereal sells for $6,840. So I'm going to use that as my price. Which is great. And then I'm just going to, I hit Control F to start searching, by the way. Honey, what's sell price for honey? $1,800. Because the way the input cost is working is it's saying that, is it worth it for us to either sell our inputs separately and make money that way, or is it worth it for us to put them in, make something new? Are we going to make more money if we do it that way? So that's kind of what we're looking at. And actually, corn is right next to that as well, 684. So I'll put the corn on there. Write that down. We also need to worry about oats. So let's get this out of here. Oats, 958, and this is again in normal economy mode. And then the last thing we need to worry about is chocolate. So we have chocolate down there. Oh, that doesn't, why did that, oh, chocolate brownie at the very bottom there. Let's do oh, it's gonna still give me all that. Let's scroll through these. Where's our chocolate? Chocolate, $3,600 right there. So now I have all those values. You can use this sheet, or you can go into, if I go back to the game real quick, you can go in here and look at, like, let's say barley was an input. You can look at whatever the highest price is, because if you change your economy mode, these prices are going to change. So the benefit of using my calculator that I've designed is, if I go back over to the calculator here, you can change the input. So we're going to put those in here. So I'm going to use 6840 as the value for cereal. That's the product sell price right here, which you can change all of these if you'd want to. I'm not going to worry about changing them right now. But then the value for honey, which is input number 1, 1800. The value for chocolate, which is input number 2, is 3600. Then oats is 958, and corn, input number 4, is 684. So now it's entered those, and it's telling you that instead of putting these inputs per cycle in, if you sold them separately, this is the amount of money you'd get for them, which is pretty good. That's $113.11 right there worth of products. So you can do it that way. And now it's also taking into account, if you go through it, if we sell those outputs, the 20 cereal, we're gonna get $136, which is pretty good, it seems. And the profit per cycle here is $23. Now that is not just this minus the input cost. It's more than that. It is also including the fact that this is going to cost $120 to run. So it's taking this $120, divided by 216, and that's how it knows how much it's going to cost per cycle as you're running this to get your actual profitability here. And then the profit per month, it just multiplies this profit per cycle times the cycles in a month to get the profitability for you. So it's a pretty helpful tool, I think, personally. Now, I did say we talk about if you had like 2 outputs. Let's say your other output, for whatever reason in this one, let's say you also, instead of, maybe you also get pig food, you know, because I'm not going to do pig food. Let's do something else that we have on there. Let's do, I don't know, let's get just something simple, barley. It doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. Let's say we get barley out, and I look at used values here, and I find barley. Okay. Oh, do I have barley on here? I think I would. I should have barley. If I've dried barley on there, I definitely got regular barley. 563. So let's say that 563 is what we're looking for. Here, let's say that it's worth 563 per 1,000 liters. And let's say the output amount for cereal is 20, but we also get 20 barley out of it. So I'm just putting numbers in random places to help me keep track here. So we get 20 barley out of it. What you're going to do to calculate how much that barley is worth, if you're selling it, take your price that you're going to use for your barley, so 563. You're going to divide this number here, the 563, the price for your barley, by 1,000, and then multiply that by how much you get as an output, which is 20. And, oops, I entered it in my calculator wrong, times 20, and that is $11.26 is how much 20 liters of barley is worth. So the output, or the profit per cycle here, is already taking into account the monthly cost, so you don't have to do that again. So now this profit per cycle, simply add the 1126 to it. So if I do 2313 plus 11, if I can enter it correctly in my calculator, plus 1126, we get 3439, and then if I multiply the 3439 times the 216, our new profit is now $7,400 a month. So you can add in other products that way. You just have to be able to know how to add kind of the math. I know it'd be easier if it was just plug and play for a calculator, but you can do it this way. Now, what I would recommend, if you don't really want to worry about that, just put in the most expensive product that you're getting out of it. So for example, if we were getting cereal and barley out of this, I would just use cereal as my calculation of my product sell price, because it's worth a lot more. And then if the profitability is still good, I know that, well, in addition to this profitability, if I'm also getting barley, I know this is still a profitable production. We're actually getting more than that, so it still works. However, if it comes up negative, then you may need to do what I just did to make sure you're actually making profit on it if there's multiple products. And you can add as many products as you want, obviously, at the end of the day. But anyhow, guys, that is what I have for you guys. Yeah, just wanted to take a look. Again, there's so many different productions in the game here, as you can see. And there's so many modded productions out there that I wanted to hopefully put a video out that kind of helps you guys be able to determine profitability on your farm, so that way you're not wasting your time and money buying these productions. So there you go. If you guys enjoyed, please drop a like down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button up on the screen to join the Farmer Cop channel, and turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any future videos I may post. This has been Farmer Cop. Thank you guys for coming and watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.